Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And welcome back. We continue our show this morning by getting into our second conversation of the day, and this is with a teacher from Mount Carmel High School. He's none other than Miguel Bonilla, and he's here to break down for us the various pay scales as it regards the teachers' salaries. Good morning, Mr. Bonilla.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So last week, the government put out the new pay scales, and so we're in the process of trying to understand who are the ones that are affected and what classes, so to speak, that are being affected. Share with us, first of all, your cursory look at what is taking place at the point where the government had issued the scales, the new scales.
Well, I had worked out the scales for more than a month now, so I knew more or less what my pay would look like and what my colleagues' pay would look like. And for some people, especially those who have worked for more than 20 years and would be at the peak of the scale, it's a disastrous decision for them, for the government to cut them. They're losing out $12,000 per annum, $12,000 to $15,000 per annum. I'm quite sure that on top of getting the cut, they will be getting taxed. So they're losing a lot. For people who are starting to move upward in the social, in the social ladder, like myself, well, this is certainly a big slap on the face.
Let's look at your situation. Perhaps you can share with us how the new pay scale affects your ability to be able to meet the cost of living and your associated expenses as a teacher.
Okay. For me to do this, I would need to project my screen with your permission. Okay. So I'll share my screen. So what you're seeing here is my new net income. It's $2,086 per month. Now you might be saying, hey, but that's decent. You can actually live off it. Well, let me tell you the situation, because while the government looks at the figures and looks at everything in a very, like everything are numbers, we down here, we are the ones who are living this reality. So let me break down to you. As it stands today, I have a mortgage, and here it's $950 because I just recently built a house. My whole family did not own a house, so I'm the first one to be a house owner. So that's $950. For bills, that's about $300 per month. Sorry, $300 per month. Then another expense is food. Let us say I can feed my family for breakfast with $5. That includes 4 adults and 2 children. $5 I will use, and this is my new budget to give them breakfast. I will give them for lunch $15, and for dinner that's another $5. That's $25 per day. In 30 days, that's $750. So for food, I'm spending now $750. And then I still have to buy soap, deodorant, and other things. You know, the mundane things. But just right here, I'm already having a leftover of $86.57. That's what I have for me to buy my soap, for me to buy maybe the toothpaste, things that are mundane.
Yeah, your
Okay.
household items, yeah.
Right. And I want to share this because since it's a personal experience. My mother suffers from glaucoma, so let's put it in there. The medication comes to a net of about $70 per month. So I'm not gonna sacrifice her medication. I rather not bathe for a day, you know. So $70. And so I'm left with $16.57. Now, why am I going over all of this?
Yeah.
Let me stop sharing. Because the reality is that while the government only sees 10%, and that's because I have a bachelor's degree with a diploma in education methodology. Now I'm on the end where I'm still well off in comparison to my fellow teachers.
Yeah.
There are some people earning $1,800, especially in Toledo, which is apparently a forgotten district. Culturally, they have 10 people in their household, one sole income. Yes, they do a little bit of agriculture. $1,800 to cover for all of them. Now you come and reduce the salary for them because, well, it's only 10%. But it's only 10% in your calculation, but the reality down here is that now we don't have enough to live a life with dignity. Especially if you're a person like me who's trying to move up, own a house, and starting to own little things here and there. So how will I come?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop there.
I wanted to just get in on that because it's part of what. And Miguel, thank you, because you've really stepped forward through all of this to just help people understand the math behind it. We talk about the 10%, or we talk about teachers of public servants, but understanding the reality, at least from one perspective, helps to bring clarity. But what you're saying is that very often when we say 10%, in your case about $200, in some people's case it's about $100, and it can be anywhere in between. Now, that oftentimes is all the disposable income that one has after expenses. And with that removed, so goes the income to buy some of the necessities to survive. Is that what you're trying to explain? Now, from your conversations with your colleagues, tell us a bit about what kind of plans, the salary cuts are going to happen. What do you do to adjust? Or can you adjust?
Okay, thank you for that question. So one of the things that, how will I adjust? I'll tell you about me first, and then I'll tell you about what my colleagues are doing. My father is 75 years old. He's 75 this year. And he decided that he's gonna go out and do some more taxi, drive the taxi again. Of course, he doesn't own a car. So that little money, maybe he will make $200, $300 extra a month. That will be what will be used to adjust, because my father and mother, they are with me. So that's what will be used to fill in the gap. That is one more taxi driver out there, and that takes away from because there's a lot of people who have it worse than me, and I have to accept that. And that extra taxi driver away takes away from the main pool of people who really need it right now. Just to compensate. Now, my colleagues, what have they been doing? Recently, I've had some of my colleagues send me a message, Mr. Bonilla, would you like to buy barbecue? Mr. Bonilla, would you like to buy dukunu? I'm making some. Would you like to buy soup? Maybe on the weekends, to fill in that gap. Now, what the macroeconomics of this will do is that there's 15,000 people who will be, more than 15,000 people who will be getting a cut. They will find alternative ways to fill in that gap. Those alternative ways might be a direct competition for those people who have been
Who rely on that.
right. So the market share
Yeah.
for the common Belizean, for the fudge selling Belizean,
Yeah.
changes because now we are entering the market with our product, and because we tend to have a little bit more idea on how to use social media and all of this. I'm not saying that the average Belizean doesn't. What I'm saying is that now we are taking market share from them, which didn't used to happen. And so it is going to have that ripple effect in our community. And I've seen some Facebook lives selling food and also selling clothing.
Yeah.
So I'm already starting to see it. And right now that's because we haven't gotten in practice, we haven't gotten the cut. But now, 6 months from now, we will start seeing that the average Belizean will be the one that will be affected directly. Their businesses.
Yeah. Now, I you bring up such an interesting point. You know, I think when you talk to small business owners, they definitely talk of the influx of competition that has come in place and how it has affected them. And you know, it's important that people are able to make a living or earn extra if that's what needs to be done. But it's a very realistic scenario that you just painted. Miguel, you know, having had multiple conversations, just for you, you said that your dad is going back to work. I mean, are you finding some of your coworkers in really dire situation? Are they just kind of figuring out ways to adapt?
Certainly, yes. One of the things that I've come to realize is that the ones that will really get, I saw it here at my school, that will get punched right in the nose, weren't the most vocal. They were just like, okay, it's inevitable. But some of them, they will have to take out their children from school. From maybe they're trying to move upward in the social ladder also, and they have to take out their children from school. Maybe 1 or 2 are going to UB, so take them out of school and just to make sure that they have enough to eat and maybe go to school at some other time. Now that sets those children back a few years. But that's how they're trying to do. And then when it comes to dire situations, we have some colleagues who really have big families. I spoke to someone down in Toledo, and that's why I shared the Toledo scenario. They say they buy data, they have to travel through mountains, and well, the person says, okay, I have 7 family members, adult family members, depending on this. I'm yet to complete my bachelor's degree. This is seriously going to affect me. So we do have people who, and then there's also that little percentage in the bell curve, which have it well off. 2 teachers maybe in a family. Well, they're better off, but we do have certain people who are already marginalized, and this will just be the nail on their coffin.
So what about cutting down expenses?
Sure. I think that that is one of the approaches that I think everyone is doing. Yeah, as a person, what I've done, I've disconnected lights because we have LED lights here at home. And instead of having maybe 2, I will only use 1. That's how I think that I will reduce the bill. And let me just reiterate something there. You see, I'm going to cut expenses and I'm going to find a way to survive. And no amount is too little if I can avoid the expense. I think that government should move in with that mentality also, because whenever they mention anything about reducing allowances, they say, oh, it's inconsequential. That's their response. But if you are really fixated in a long-term solution, we must cut down on certain expenses. I'm not saying eliminate, because obviously if they're in power and they got elected and everything, then it merits that they get some sort of allowance for all of their stuff. But what I'm saying is we should all cut down without saying, oh, it's too little, it won't make an impact. It will. Drop by drop, you can fill up a bucket.
Yeah. She's saying a collective approach to being able to curtail on expenses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Not only us, the sacrificial lambs. But, yeah.
All right, well, that kind of paints a very clear picture for us, Miguel. With that, thanks for having shared with us what the average teacher will now be facing in terms of the consequence of the 10% salary cut.
Yes. Can I just say something before I go?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, it becomes very apparent that we have been a little bit vociferous on this issue, and certainly the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, is getting all the heat, but it's becoming increasingly apparent that it might not have been him behind this idea of a cut. I just wanted to throw in there, and I think the person who is responsible for making all of these suggestions should step forward and face the teachers, give us an explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Miguel, we do appreciate you joining us this morning, and the fact that you have been kind of a face for the teachers in speaking out on how it can be affected. People don't like disclosing their salaries, but you've done so openly just so the public can understand the impact. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you too.
All right.
We go to our commercial break, and when we return, it's to have a discussion on World Blood Donor Day. Stick around.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.